For Channel 8, here's editorial director Joe Mannion.
We need tougher bumpers on our cars. On car models before this 1979 model, bumpers had to withstand collisions at speeds of up to 5 miles per hour. But then our automakers said that they could save us about $35 on the purchase price of a car if we lowered the standards to 2.5 miles per hour. And we did. This despite the fact that several years ago, people at the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety crashed cars into barriers at 5 miles per hour to test bumpers. Repair bills ran up to $366. So even if the weaker bumpers lower the purchase price of a car, it's false economy. We end up paying more in repair bills and in insurance premiums. We say, let's return to the tougher bumpers. That's what we think. How do you feel?
Write, Director of Editorials, WXFL, Post Office Box 1410, Tampa, Florida 33601. For Channel 8, here's editorial director Joe Mannion.
In any sports contest, someone wins and someone loses, and we think Tampa deserves to win over St. Petersburg as the future site of a Major League Baseball stadium. Tampa has a more central location. Fans driving from Lakeland, Orlando, or other points east will save 30 minutes in drive time. Tampa has the airport and hotel accommodations for teams and fans who fly here, a major reason it was chosen as the Super Bowl city. And Tampa has a proven record of drawing a dedicated and loyal fan, accounting for the success of the Bucks, the Bandits, and the Rowdies. A baseball stadium located in this sports complex would already have ample parking, a highway feeder system, and a broadcast communications network. In any final agreement, both the football and baseball people would agree that neither would sponsor an event at the same time, so let's play ball in Tampa. That's what we think. Write and tell us what you think.
Write, Director of Editorials, WXFL, Post Office Box 1410, Tampa, Florida 33601. For Channel 8, here's editorial director Joe Mannion.
Good news for children age 5 and under. It should now be a lot safer for them to ride in a car or any other vehicle. Tomorrow, a new law goes into effect which says that parents must use seat belts in car seats. Otherwise, they face a $15 fine, unless they can show that they have the belts and the seats before their court appearance. Traffic accidents are the #1 killer and crippler of children age 5 and under. Yet federal safety statistics show that we could prevent up to 90% of those deaths and injuries if we use the belts and the car seats on a consistent basis. The new law should help, but it doesn't go far enough. It only applies to parents. We think it should also apply to relatives, friends, and babysitters. That's what we think. Write and tell us what you think.
Write, Director of Editorials, WXFL, Post Office Box 1410, Tampa, Florida 33601. For Channel 8, here's editorial director Joe Mannion.
A man walked into this supermarket, splashed gasoline over people, and lit a match. 3 people died, others suffered horrible burns. Many of us saw the suspect at the time of his arrest, and we heard reports that his relatives tried often over several years to get him committed. When people bring charges of violent behavior against a person with a history of mental illness, we think our police should place that person in protective custody at once, but with a guarantee of a speedy hearing, one within 72 hours. An attorney should represent him, a psychiatrist should examine him, and the people who bring charges should appear before the judge. At worst, we have detained a person wrongfully for a brief period of time. At best, we may have prevented another terrible tragedy. That's what we think. Write and tell us what you think.
Write, Director of Editorials, WXFL, Post Office Box 1410, Tampa, Florida 33601. For Channel 8, here's editorial director Joe Mannion.
We note that a higher percentage of black students fail the state's functional literacy test than do white students, but we do not think it has anything to do with what some call the vestiges of segregation, and those who make such an argument do a disservice. While they claim to work for minority interest, they in fact do just the opposite. In effect, they claim that black students are inferior to white students because they cannot compete even after having received the same instruction. Nonsense. Not only do many black students compete, some of them excel because they refuse to buy lower expectations for themselves. Special concessions only contribute to the myth of inferiority. We think Education Commissioner Ralph Turlington correct when he says students will perform better if the standards are tougher. That's what we think. Write and tell us what you think.
Write, Director of Editorials, WXFL, Post Office Box 1410, Tampa, Florida 33601. For Channel 8, here's Editorial Director Joe Mannion.
We need to attract our brightest students to teaching. We don't now, and we need more applicants. In the 60s, 20 out of 100 college freshmen chose teaching. Today, 5 in 100 do so. Teaching pays too little. In the Bay Area, a beginning teacher earns $12,000 to $13,000. A beginning engineering graduate could earn twice that. So we favor raising teacher salaries, but only if based on merit pay. Pay the best teachers the most, the average less, and weed out the teacher who does not produce. Now, spokesmen for teacher unions are against merit pay because they say it will cause dissension and low morale. But we think Pinellas School Superintendent Scott Rose correct when he says if teachers want comparable salaries to those in private industry, then they are going to have to accept the fact that they all can't be paid the same. That's what we think. Write and tell us what you think.
Write, Director of Editorials, WXFL, Post Office Box 1410, Tampa, Florida 33601. For Channel 8, here's Editorial Director Joe Mannion.
We need a merit evaluation for our teachers. All teachers should take the same test to determine their understanding of teaching methods. And then a teacher should take a test in the subject area that he or she teaches. A math teacher should take a math test. An evaluation should also include a statistical analysis of the past test scores of their students. This analysis will help determine a person's ability to help students achieve. And an evaluation should also include a personal evaluation of the teacher's immediate supervisor to judge qualities a test cannot. Those teachers who object should ask themselves why they hold students to the results of tests, and they should ask themselves why they should not hold themselves to the same job performance standards that most other employees must face. That's what we think. Write and tell us what you think.
Write, Director of Editorials, WXFL, Post Office Box 1410, Tampa, Florida 33601. For Channel 8, here's Editorial Director Joe Mannion.
Teachers who are competent do not need tenure. Tenure, which stops a principal from firing a mediocre teacher, protects the incompetent teacher. It protects the teachers who do not want to try harder. It protects the teachers who will do only what is necessary to get by. But some teachers argue that tenure protects academic freedom. Now, maybe that's true at the university level. But at the elementary and high school level, where the textbooks are chosen by others, where the course of instruction is outlined by others, we do not think that teachers have the same need to protect the free and wide-ranging exploration of ideas. At the elementary and high school level, tenure does not protect academic freedom. Tenure protects the incompetent teacher. That's what we think. Write and tell us what you think.
Write, Director of Editorials, WXFL, Post Office Box 1410, Tampa, Florida 33601.